I am on page something cut off, 195. It's the second to last from the handout. Okay? So it says that I need to fold the paper. Now I'm gonna go ahead and fold it correctly. Do you guys think that the neckline, the grain line on the collar should be along the center back or not?
No.
Why? It needs to be across because we want to make sure that it doesn't stretch. So I'm going to go ahead and make the a line following the numbers. And I'm going to fold it in half. And as I explained to you yesterday, we're going to do a Mandarin color, which is the color stand. Okay? I'm sorry, you're looking at me like I knew. I explained yesterday on the video. Oh, I do have it. See, a regular color has a color stand and then a color. So if I push this in, this is a Mandarin color, which you see in shirts like that, right? So this goes up like a funnel on your neck, and the collar, it actually lays from the edge into your shoulders. Why is that?
Would this be considered a shirt if it only has a Mandarin color?
No, if it has a placket with buttons, it will be considered a shirt. Okay? The purpose of that is, obviously it comes from menswear, you need to have a tie, so there should be a space in between the closest to the neck and whatever covers the tie, because it's bulkiness, right? Okay, so we're gonna fold it like this. We're gonna square up 1/2 inch. I'm sorry. This is A to B. It actually comes from the previous page. Okay, so basic Mandarin color. The center back neck, we already measured. I had 3.5 on mine. You guys need to measure yours. And then the front, I have 5 1/8 to the edge of the extension. We're gonna square a line in the center of the paper to equal the following. A to B, 1.5 inches. So I'm gonna measure here 1.5 inches. And I'm gonna call these A to B. Okay? Well, this one is actually backwards. B to A. Okay. Then we're gonna measure from the center back, the back neck. So on mine is 3.5. And remember that I keep insisting that you need to maintain the notch of the shoulder even though we move the seam of the yoke forward. That is, when we attach the collar, this is going to match that notch. Then we're going to measure 5 1/8. Okay? So this is going to be C, this is going to be D, and this is B. Okay. Mark the shoulder notch. Oh, already explained that. And here, at C, it says to measure up 1/2 inch. So we're gonna square up 1/2 inch. Then we're going to get, can I borrow your hip? Yeah. I don't know if this one or the other one, but we'll see. We're gonna place it along the line until we connect D into C. Can you see it? So it goes up. Now at C, we're going to square it off from that new line. See that at the tip is a little diagonal? Okay? And then we're gonna measure 1.5. Okay? Following the shape of the curve. Okay. Now, you guys remember that our placket was 3/4 of an inch from the center front? Correct? So I'm going to do 3/4 for our notch. This will be our center front. But I'm going to do it the same at the top because the collar is going to end here. See my extension right here? See that my collar doesn't go to the edge? It actually goes to the center front. So when we connect, it closes. Yes? Now, do we want to have these rounded? We're going to get this ruler and we're going to use the opposite side and we're going to round the tip of it. And there it is. Cute? Yes? Okay. Good. So the only thing we need to do is add seam allowance and it is done. Now we need to do the color. Relax.
Get too excited.
She thought it was that easy. Just keep in mind, no crying in fashion.
There is.
Huh?
There is crying.
No, there isn't. You just made it up.
No, I swear to God, bro.
So I'm gonna do a notch right here. Remember, I'm always squaring it off from this side. So grain line will be right here. Okay? And if I want to cut this to have it, I'm gonna cut it because I want to pin it and you guys can see how it fits when it's finished. Okay, so the notch is here. I'll do the seams again when I flip it. And here it has a notch, right? And you want to make sure that you have a notch in the center, at the top and at the bottom. So you're going to have your center back, your shoulders, center front, and the edge of your collar on the edge of the shirt. Cool? This is the collar stand. Now we're going to do the collar. For the collar, it says trace your mandarin stand, your collar stand, and square out 1 inch extension from A and B, connecting. That's exactly what I just did. Okay, so we're gonna trace this. We're gonna do it the same way because the collar also has the grain line along this. Okay. Keep trying to grab that one. Okay, so I'm gonna trace this. And we already have this notch. And you shouldn't be doing this by hand. Good. I'm doing it freehand. I'm just doing it because we really don't need it. Okay? So I'm going to do that 3/4. Your book says 1 inch, but we're going to do the 3/4. Okay? So this is going to be A, and this is going to be B. It says trace mandering, stand, okay, mark where the placement of the buttonhole. So the buttonhole will be in the middle of this collar, okay? And your button will be exactly on this point, but if you see on my collar, my button is at the end of the buttonhole because it's pulling, right? So the buttonhole will start maybe a 1/16 of an inch out this way, okay? Don't worry about putting a size on the buttonhole because you don't have to. The machine will do it for you according to the button. But we can have here where the button goes and where the buttonhole will go, okay? So that will be on your collar stand. Actually, I should have done it in here. Okay, so we're gonna trace this mandarin color. And the broken line indicates the color. Draw a color using measurements given. Notch the midpoint of the upper edge of the color. Okay, so remember that we did 1.5 inches here? We're gonna do 2 inches here because you want your color to be longer than your color stand. So when it folds over, it overlaps that, okay? And even if you're wearing a tie, it even will lift up even more, okay? So that's why we do it 1/2 inch more. We are going to measure in the front. I don't understand what that 1/2 inch space they're saying here. Notch midpoint of the upper color. Draw a slash line on the paper. Okay, so we're gonna come down squared as on the paper, all the way down. And it says that we need to measure 2.5. Now here is where the styling of your collar might come. Okay, if you wanna have a more extended, we're gonna end up having to slash and spread this collar because it needs to go around. If your collar is wider and longer, then you will need to do it even more so, okay? But let's keep it this way for now. We're doing it basic. So I'm gonna square up here, and then I'm gonna get this ruler, and I'm gonna blend it in like this, okay? Let's not forget that we need the notch. We need a notch because this is going to be attached on the top. Let's do a notch where the shoulder line used to be. It's going to make it easier for us to connect. Okay? So I'm going to cut this. No seam allowance for now. Or a pin. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna place this back again in here. Okay, see that we have this divided in 3 pieces. I'm gonna slash it in the middle of here in the back, almost all the way through, but don't cut through. And then in the middle between the notch and the front. And I'm gonna spread it 1/8 of an inch. Okay. Can you borrow the tape? Thank you very much. And then here I'm going to spread it also 1/8. So let's measure 1/8. See, by spreading it, look at how it moved up. Yes? So that's it. We need to add seam allowance and we're done. So I'm going to place it on the center and I'm going to copy the color. I'm going to add seam allowance and I'm going to pin both so you guys can see it on the dress form how it fits. It looks really good. So now I'm going to add the seam allowance. Oh, by the way, the edge of the collar is going to be only 1/4 of an inch. The part that has the notch is what it connects to the collar. That one is going to be 1/2 inch.
So the top a 1/4 and the...
So the edges of the collar is going to be 1/4, but what it attaches to the collar stand is going to be 1/2. So that was my work in progress. So this is the finished collar. What time is it?
There's still an hour left.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave the last 15 minutes to explain how to do the cutter's must. It probably is just like 5 minutes. Okay, but let me finish this so you guys can see what we did, how it's a look. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you guys. The collar stand has a different angle than the collar. And that's gonna create a little bit of a ruffle and it's gonna fall over on the neck very nicely. So if I were to pin this collar here and put it on the dress form, which is what I want to show you guys, and this is why it's important that you have notches to make your life a lot easier when you're sewing. You're going to be matching the edges. I usually do this without seam allowance, but since we have it, why not? But we don't have a, oh, we have a dress form over there. I don't know if you guys can see. Let me see if I put a piece of white paper. See that we have the notch that we did at the center front? See how it matches to the 1/4 inch seam allowance? You see it here? See that notch? That was the center. So when we're going to close this, we're going to close notch to notch. Remember, we have seam allowance. That's what you're seeing it. But we're going to close notch to notch, and we're going to button the collar stand, not the collar, right? So let me fold the seam allowance so you guys can see. See how it's matching right here? Okay? So let's go to a dress form. We don't have one here, right? Okay. Let's go so you guys can see how it looks on. Okay? You want to hold it for a sec? So if you see the collar stand, remember it has seam allowance, so it actually follows the curve of the neck, and then the collar falls from there down into the shoulder. Should have not added seam allowance because it's on the way. Cool? Okay.
We're gonna hire you for the next